General Van Herk. Because you still haven't been able to tell us what these things are that we are shooting out of the sky, that raises the question, have you ruled out aliens or extraterrestrials? And if so, why?
Thanks for the question, Helene. I'll let the intel community and the counterintelligence community figure that out. I haven't ruled out anything at this point. We continue to assess every threat or potential threat unknown that approaches North America with an attempt to identify it.
So there you heard General Glenn Van Herk going ahead and giving his update, just a very small part of the strangeness of this entire story. As you know, I broadcast on Lisa's channel yesterday. We're going to continue forward. We told you something would happen around the Super Bowl, and sure enough, here we have it. And this will be the entire saga following through Friday, as you see, all the way through Super Bowl Sunday. Lisa will be doing a broadcast on my channel. If you want to see her today, she'll put a link above. Please subscribe. But now let's jump into what happened here. And are we dealing with, as the big question is, UFOs or China? And that is the big question. And you're going to hear exposures by the Pentagon, by those within Congress, that really tell you a bigger portion of this story. And you know I don't believe in coincidental timing whatsoever. Just in, Pentagon does not know to what keeps these objects aloft. Unknown propulsion systems. We're calling them objects, not balloons, for a reason. But before we continue forward, if you have not yet subscribed to Lisa's channel, please double check and make sure you are subscribed. Make sure your bell is checked so you're alerted to upcoming broadcasts. Lisa also wanted me to give a shout out to her sponsor. Have you guys been to GetTheTea.com? If not, by using discount code LISA, that's right, LISA, you get 10% off your order. I know you guys remember these guys at Get the Tea, the business of keeping you healthy. They carry natural, non-GMO herbal teas and supplements made in USA. Check out their latest product, and it's right here, called Super Tea Plus with Senna. Go ahead and enjoy this. A new tea formula has the 12 herbs of their delicious, life-changing tea, but with an added ingredient, Senna. It's their strongest cleansing tea to date. GetTheTea.com. Use discount code Lisa and get 10% off. But now, let's get back to this broadcast. General Glenn Van Herk comes out. Again, it appears the Pentagon has their spokesman now. We're calling them objects, not balloons. But you heard many reports that they were balloons, and I'll show you how even the same articles toggled back and forth between the two, because it appears the Mockingbird media isn't completely up to speed on what the storyline is supposed to be. That gives you a lot of indications as to exactly what's going on. So I'm going to try not to trickle on too much of what we covered yesterday. If you didn't see the video, Lisa will put a link just above. Go ahead and click on it. You can get your full background, but this has gone from China balloon to China pointing the finger of blame at us, of course, calling us hypocrites, and the fact that we also have high altitude spy balloons. Not the story at all. As it wasn't yesterday, it's not today. No, we're going to start on Friday up there in Alaska, and we're going to follow this graph all the way through, and I'll show you what has happened. Again, we talked yesterday about Dead Horse, Alaska, the downing of the first of the unidentified flying object, but don't forget this clip from CNN. It is absolutely relevant to the story we're about to discuss.
So this is interesting. This is kind of unusual that these pilots saw different things, and that is sort of, I guess, adding to the mystery of all this.
Yeah, not even the pilots apparently were really able to identify what they saw. And just to take you back for a sec, on Thursday, the U.S. defense officials sent F-35 fighter jets up to try to figure out what this object was that was flying around near Alaska. Those pilots, we have learned, have given very conflicting accounts of what they actually experienced, with some pilots saying that the object interfered with the plane's sensors, other pilots saying that they didn't really experience that, other pilots saying that when they looked at the object, they could identify no identifiable propulsion system, and they...
So we're going to stop them there. So it may have interfered with their radar. No identifiable propulsion system. Very important as you move forward in the story and what came to light yesterday, because the government exposed a whole lot more. Of course they did. In a statement Saturday, U.S. Northern Command said the command has no new information to share about the object's capabilities, purpose, or origin, as they are still attempting to recover some of this wreckage. And about that object shot down over Alaska, penetrated, this is the biggest portion of the story, penetrated U.S. airspace before being detected. Do not forget that as we move forward. I'm going to try to piece all these details together for you as seamlessly as possible.
Over territorial waters. We're calling this an object because that's the best description we have right now. We do not know who owns it. We do expect to be able to recover the debris.
They are calling it an object. It is not a balloon. That should be abundantly clear by now. Multiple sources coming out. Now, you can either cover the Canadian portion of this story or the Montana air shutdown. We're going to start with the Montana air shutdown first because this story resurfaces in Michigan and eventually Lake Huron. FAA temporarily closes Montana's airspace after radar anomaly spots airborne object. You heard all about this. You heard the reversal of the Boeing KC-135R Stratotanker being reversed in its course. Disappears. They scramble a jet. They don't find anything. We find out about this story at the end when it appears again over Lake Michigan. So let's go back to Canada now as we're just rocketing through the details. Everything we know about the flying object shot down over Canada a day after similar incident over Alaska. This one being a cylindrical object, not the Chinese balloon that was downed much earlier in the week, which was flying at about 40,000 feet when it was shot down, is potentially similar to the suspected Chinese spy balloon shot down off the coast of South Carolina. Are we so sure? Depends on which media report you read. This on the Wall Street Journal. Flying object shot down over Canada on orders of Biden and Trudeau. In this one, the latest object appears to be a small metallic balloon with a tethered payload. I guarantee you hadn't heard that before. As you dig through this and you hear all the different descriptions, it becomes absolutely dumbfounding. Crucial quote, however. This was the first time that a NORAD operation has downed an aerial object. The importance of this moment should not be underestimated. The first time a NORAD operation has downed an aerial object, which would be very critical information to the opposition to understand our reaction time, to test the new NORAD operation system. And again, I don't want to paint too close of a picture yet, but I think you're starting to put some of the details together. It flew at 40,000 feet. Unknown origin or ownership, cylindrical and silverish gray, roughly the size of a car, smaller than the original balloon shot down by the F-22. However, and here's a really important part of this story, according to Senator Dan Sullivan, Republican out of Alaska, this is not the first time the Pentagon has tracked something unknown as of late over America's last frontier. Several other similar objects have flown over the state in recent weeks. Have you heard a word of it? No. Not until it was caught on camera and the administration and the Pentagon had to finally admit to it. But there's Senator Dan Sullivan coming out and saying, guys, this ain't nothing new. This has been going on. It just got exposed, so now we have to admit to it. There were things that were seen on radar but weren't explained. They had similar signatures to the newest objects we are now seeing in the sky. They've been able to infiltrate our airspace in recent weeks. That is disturbing news. So was it someone testing our capabilities, testing our ability to find the object prior to it entering airspace? And they definitely received a definitive no to that question now, didn't they? Because we weren't able to detect it before it entered the airspace. And now suddenly all these objects are just appearing magically everywhere? Come on. We know better than that here. As back as far as 2021, adversary drones are spying on the U.S. and the Pentagon acts like they're UFOs. And all of a sudden they come out with their UFO report. So they've been doing research. But now let's go back to Montana, where all of a sudden everything dropped. We didn't hear another word about it until we get Super Bowl Sunday. Everybody paying attention to the news, and up and lo and behold, over Lake Michigan, something is spotted. Airspace is shut down. Statement on today's action by North American Aerospace Defense Command, February 12, 2023. Based on its flight path and data, we can reasonably connect this object to the radar signal picked up over Montana. Same object. Again, most of these details not put together for you. It's what we work hard here to do. It's why Lisa wanted me to do a follow-up broadcast. Please get over and check her out on my channel today. Pentagon confirms shot down objects aren't balloons. They are not balloons. I don't care what Schumer says or anybody else is stating. They are not balloons. Makes an even weirder admission. Pentagon does not know what keeps these objects aloft. Unknown propulsion system. We're calling them objects, not balloons, for a reason. Don't forget that quote. All of a sudden it comes right back into focus, doesn't it? This was our tracking plane, putting it simply. By the way, if you want to see what that looks like, I'll just put it on screen there. This is the E3 Sentry over northern Michigan. First over Lake Michigan, now over Lake Huron. What's going on? Everybody wondering. Tracking, and it shows you the path of what it was tracking, circling as it continued to move towards Lake Huron. This graph should make sense to you now because that's what you're looking at. Making sure they identified the object, realizing it's the same one that was in Montana. So how good does our system work? It made it from Montana all the way to Lake Huron before we took it down. Could this be someone testing our capabilities? This object, was shaped, however, not as the original round air balloon, not as the cylinder. This one is an octagon with an altitude of 20,000 feet. Now, it's funny because the Wall Street Journal, who originally put that quote, according to many sources in their article, no longer has it in the article. I searched it. But if you go to ABC, military shoots down another high-altitude object over Lake Huron, officials say. The object was octagonal in structure, unmanned, and traveling at about 20,000 feet. No indication of surveillance capabilities whatsoever. Of course not. Just putting everything in perspective. That could be concerning to a lot of people. That shape we've seen in sci-fi for how many years? Well, this is the shape of the object, at least now as they're declaring it. Not a cylinder, not a balloon, according to the Pentagon. When they get a leg in their face, they suddenly have to admit everything, don't you? Now you understand this recording. So let's listen to this one more time, putting it now into a different perspective.
Hi, thanks, Pat, and thanks for doing this. This is for General Van Herk. Because you still haven't been able to tell us what these things are that we are shooting out of the sky, that raises the question, have you ruled out aliens or extraterrestrials, and if so, why? Because that is what everyone is asking us right now.
And thanks for the question, Helene. I'll let the intel community and the counterintelligence community figure that out. I haven't ruled out anything at this point.
And we could stop them there. Can't rule out anything at this point. So this starts to beg a lot of questions. Distractions, aliens, or China? Or Russia? It's really the options you have right now. All of the objects are similar in certain ways, and then dramatically different in certain ways. What we don't yet understand is what sort of technology are in there, the official told the Washington Post. Really capable technology can be very small and portable, so the size doesn't tell us a whole lot. All of the objects are similar in certain ways, dramatically different in others. And then here you have the Politico article. U.S. jet downs unidentified object over Canada. Within that article, Montana, Steve Daines and John Tester, senators, both released statements stating that they were in contact with the Pentagon officials over the incident. Asked why there were seemingly more balloon downings and related incidents recently, what do they say? Because we're being more vigilant now. We're being more vigilant now. Begs one question for me. What were you doing before? Were you allowing this all along? But because someone catches it on camera and makes a local newspaper, suddenly you have to come out and admit because the American public realizes you're not doing your job? You're not protecting our airspace? We are being more vigilant now. Found this set of tweets. It was actually incredible information. Remember, this is further proof above all else just how good these objects are at stimulating the entirety of our domestic air defense capabilities. From our early warning radars to multiple radar and engagement modes on the F-22A and APG-77 radar. Isn't that an interesting take? They're good at one thing, triggering all our systems to go up, analyzing our response on the F-22s, analyzing our surveillance and reaction time. Isn't that interesting? I would make an educated guess that this is more of a change in policy, and especially an intelligence collection campaign at this point, than a new invasion of unidentified aircraft. Tyler Rojaway states, they will have to give an assessment now. The dam may have finally broke. This is a huge deal. In other words, they're here, they've been here, but because, again, someone captures a Chinese balloon on tape, they are forced to show their hand, because now America knows. And how long have they been here? What have they been doing? What have they been collecting? What have they been watching? This story is a monster of a story as it relates to our government and our military and the protection of our U.S. skies and our very defense. Is this all a test? Is this an alien invasion? Or is this China going ahead and just testing on our surveillance system? Floating balloons over continually, seeing how quick we react. Man, the scary part is we hadn't reacted prior. We just let it happen. I know this is a new system that NORAD created, but I know I spend a lot of my tax dollars, and I know you spend a lot of yours on making sure that they have systems in place to prevent all of this. Is this a government simply with egg on its face? We are going to continue to cover this story. Thank you so much for being here and tuning in, making yesterday's video a huge success. If you didn't get a chance to see it again, step back, one video, watch it, get over to my channel. Lisa will be appearing today if you miss her. But we each have our specialty in this story. I have covered in every single detail. It ruined a lot of my Super Bowl because I kept watching all the news flashes come up. I love you so much. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless Justice Knight. Signing out.